What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and I'm going to start out today with a bit of a palate cleanser, a bit of a spicy tale, because I think we may have found peak game journalism in 2019. Now, last night, I was, watching the Twitters, and I saw Sophia Narwitz, Nar0747, friend of the channel, fellow content creator. She covers mostly video game stuff, but also fights the good fight. And so I am loyal. And when somebody says something bad about somebody that you're loyal to or a friend, you take interest, you take notice. Well, a particular former game journo, current floundering nobody, Jed Whittaker, had some particularly unfortunate things to say about her, which of course prompts a search through your past. And of course, this former Destructoid employee, former Vice employee, has some interesting articles in his past. Referring to Sophia, listen, if she spends her time courting harassers and non-sympathizers, then she's with them, bar none. Doesn't matter what good deeds she has or hasn't done. Of course, my sympathizer audience who checks notes is following a gay trans girl with a Jewish last name. In what world is that what you say it is? Maybe pull your head out of whatever intersectional something. I thought, boy, that's not very nice. And it all started with, of course, remember when the ESA doxed like hundreds of journalists, and then one of the world's biggest dummies decided to alert the internet to it via YouTube video that asserted the leak was not taken down when it was taken down when it in fact was not? That's a reference to Sophia, who covered the leak. I also covered the leak. I didn't talk about it much at the time for what should be obvious reasons, but I've now moved states, and it's been months since the ESA has done nothing. If you think I have a shred of sympathy for that, quote, citizen journalist, you're dead wrong. Wildly, absurdly, irresponsible work. Now, it's not the ESA's fault who leaked it. It's the person who covered its fault. Should be considered a landmark argument for why YouTube independent journalism / influencer concept is absolutely terrible and unaccountable. Real journalism outlets might screw up sometimes, but at the very least, there is a chain of response and responsibility when it comes to reporting out sensitive topics. Are you joking? Are you joking? You're talking about an industry that flat out fabricates stories, that willingly misrepresents stories. You're talking about people that say, I heard a disability word in this Nintendo song, even though it didn't exist. The responsibility, the accountability you speak of is non-existent. If there was any of these such mythical words as you see them, people would be fired. People wouldn't leave the article up and saying, we don't delete articles, and then simply putting a footnote that they were wrong. But she wanted to do journalisms, yes, so woke, much appreciate. Now, Sugar Plum Jed Whittaker is from, and obviously don't contact this dude, he's fading to obscurity on his own, is a pan-cis male non-mono leftist. I don't know what any of that means. All I care about is seen on Motherboard, Vice, previously of Destructoid. Okay, great. Congratulations. Now, it came out that he made a video that was very offensive, and of course that was shared around, to which he responded, one time I made a bad satire video. It was bad all around on every level, and I've apologized for it many times. Sometimes gamers like to share it to try and tear me down because I'm a leftist with progressive truths about life, politics, and games. Well, let me be very clear. I don't care where my viewers are on the political spectrum at all. And because I'm here to entertain. I'm not here to preach and tell you how to vote or how to do this or how to do that. I want you to have your own agency. But I think we can all agree that there is not a progressive truth. There is only truth. And the fact that you have to qualify it tells me it isn't, in fact, objective truth. And then, of course, we see all sorts of hilarious thing. Destructoid's Jed Whittaker on struggle snuggling some zombie BCs with my pea shooter. All sorts of other offensive things. Now, by the way, I don't care about that stuff. It's his people that care about that kind of stuff. And of course, it's his people who excuse it when it's one of theirs that do it. But of course, then his Amazon wish list leaks where he's got high quality Japan anime Attack on Titan decorative hugging body pillow. Street Fighter puzzle. Okay, that's all right. New anime cartoon supersonic 3D Big Bob cosplay sexy beauty silicone wrist rest mouse pad. I mean, are these real? Are these real? I mean, okay. It's obviously very old, but where we get peak game journalism is this article on Vice written by Jed Whittaker entitled, Nintendo Switch Joy-Con sync issue is even worse when you put it in your butt. This is how you're supposed to play video games, right? Emojis, millennials. Nintendo's new hot console is finally here and everybody's talking about how great it is. It's Zelda. Zelda, Zelda, Zelda. If you don't know any better, you'd think it only had one game. But thankfully, that isn't the case. One other game is 1-2 Switch, a mini-game collection that shows off Nintendo's Joy-Cons and the controllers included with the game, with HD rumble and blah, blah, blah. A feature that is supposed to simulate the feel of different objects like ice cubes and glass. The 1-2 Switch has a minigame simply called Milk, where players must move the Joy-Con up and down while pressing the side buttons as if milking a giant cow teat. By the way, my brother-in-law runs a dairy farm, and the video game experience is nothing like the real one. My friend and fellow gamer writer, Laura Kate Dale, who also has been caught many times publicly lying, said it felt 100% off like handling a Pen 15. I'm sure they would know. That gave me the brilliant idea that I'd try to play said game by putting a Joy-Con up my butt. I mean, it can't be that difficult, right? I do Kegels every day. I'm doing them as I type this. I've been told that. I'm not repeating that. So I've got the equipment to do it. Before attempting to squeeze out cups of virtual milk with my sphincter, I asked my friend, who's an EMT, if there's anything to worry about. Quote, sharp edges can possibly cause abrasions, but you should be okay as long as you use plenty of lube. Now, this is a video game journalist, by their own definition, of course. So I did what any sane man would do. I put the Joy-Con in a rubber of the many I have just happened to be laying around. I don't believe you. And then put it up my rear and went to work. Editor's note. Motherboard can't in good conscience recommend that you insert a Joy-Con into any of your orifices. Please don't try this at home. And he did it. That's right. I decided to use the left Joy-Con as the stick is towards the end of the controller, and I viewed that as my biggest challenge. But as it turns out, like always, just getting started was the hard part. After a bit of fussing, I finally got it in with the long strap dangling out. And wouldn't you know it, the console could no longer see the controller. I may have been foiled by the dreaded left Joy-Con disconnecting from the console issue, though I'm not sure this was the exact problem. I wasn't about to let that get me down as I'm a trooper, so I took a quick bathroom break, grabbed the right Joy-Con, and repeated the process. And wouldn't you know it, the exact same thing happened. Turns out the Bluetooth transmitter in Joy-Cons isn't powerful enough to reach through the layers of fat, bone, and hair that make up my dad-like behind. Heck, I should have known this after seeing so many reports of people having desync issues. I experienced some disconnect sitting mere feet away from the dot console, even when Joycon wasn't in my butt. I can't help but wonder if I'd had success if I were a bit more fit. Maybe one day, a boy can dream. I left a voicemail for Nintendo asking if this is by design to see if playing anally is approved means of using the Joy-Con. They did not return my call, and after reading this article, they probably never will. Well, you know, something glass houses seems to come to mind when people are spending their days bringing other people down. Look, I've got nothing personal against this Jed character. I wish him the best in whatever it is that they end up doing. Certainly won't be writing any articles for any media, any reasonable media outlet going forward. But, you know, even though this article is a bit older, it does represent a lot of what modern day urinalism has become. In fact, if you look at even a site like Kotaku, who boldly stood up against the stick to sports narrative, it's been suspiciously quiet on their woke trash takes lately. Has anybody else noticed that? I don't think I've had anyone send me a Kotaku article that said, like, you've got to look at this in, well, ever since that day, ever since all those bold journalists stood up against the boss and changed their Twitter icons. I haven't seen a single woke article since. Turns out guys like Jason Schreier and other employees there really aren't that tough. They really aren't about that journalistic integrity. It's curious to me that none of these people operate any of their own blogs, by the way. And then you've got people like Industry Dante talking about Sophia Narwitz. Notice a reoccurring theme in those who talk about me. They're all cowards, but sure, act tough as you slander me from behind a block. And you've got Jed. He's got me blocked too, even though I've never interacted with him at all. It's so weird that you would block somebody and then spend hours talking about them and tweeting about them. Why not just do it directly? It seems like such a more normal thing to do, but I suppose these folks aren't normal. I give you modern day game journalism, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.